a service of CNC Worldwide.
CNC Podcasts are a service of CNC Worldwide and brought to you by the Greece Chamber of Commerce, providing more than 800 area businesses with business solutions since 1984. Apologies for the interruption in service. Had some personal issues involving my wife breaking her ankle in another city and ended up having to take a couple of days. But on with the news. United Way of Greater Rochester has launched its 2014 annual campaign seeking to raise $25.5 million to meet the needs of people in the Rochester area. Dan Burns, the Rochester Regional President of M&T Bank, chairs this year's campaign. He says people can use it to change the world right here in Rochester by supporting critical programs that address the community's most pressing needs. Burns says giving to the community fund is the way to be sure your gift helps where it is needed the most. A new Siena Research Institute poll finds New Yorkers are still divided on whether the new Common Core public school standards are good or bad for education in New York. But by large margins, New Yorkers think the state education department should be setting the policy for schools, not Governor Cuomo. The governor now has an advisory panel working on the problems with rolling out the tougher education standards. The Siena poll finds roughly the same breakdown on Common Core as last fall. 36% say the new graduation standards are too tough, 24% say not tough enough, 24% say they're about right. And a full 50% of New Yorkers do want to delay implementing Common Core by 2 years to give the schools and the kids more time to gear up. A Rochester cab driver had his cab stolen by a fair early Tuesday morning. Police say a gray Dodge Caravan belonging to Associated Cab was taken while the driver was dropping the suspect off on Linden Avenue. The fair implied he had a weapon, ordered the driver out, and took off with the cab plus the driver's money and jacket. The cab was last seen on Mount Hope Avenue in the city, and police are looking for it and the suspect. What was at first thought to be a burglary call turned out to be a tragic accident in Rochester's South Wedge. An off-duty police officer shot a friend who surprised him inside his home. Police Chief Michael Simonelli's office says the victim is Chuck Andrews, a 51-year-old South Carolina man. He walked into Sergeant Anthony Bongiovanni's house in the South Wedge at about 5:30 Monday morning before dawn. The preliminary investigation found that when Andrews walked into the sergeant's house, he startled the officer, who fired a shot from his legally owned pistol. It struck Andrews in the mid-torso. After firing, the officer realized he'd shot his friend. He called 911 and gave first aid until help arrived. Andrews is in stable condition at Strong Memorial Hospital. Sergeant Bongiovanni is an 18-year veteran of the department. He is on paid suspension during the investigation, and police say this will end up with the district attorney's office. Rochester police are investigating a triple homicide found Monday morning inside a home on Chili Avenue. Police were called to 809 Chili Avenue by family members who went to the house after becoming concerned about the welfare of the occupants. They searched the house and found 3 victims dead of apparent gunshot wounds. The Monroe County Medical Examiner's Office has taken charge of the bodies and is working to determine the cause of death. Gasoline prices have been ticking up nationally and across the Rochester area for the past 3 weeks. The current average price for a gallon of unleaded in the 5 counties around Rochester is $3.68, up a nickel from a month ago, but 28 cents a gallon less than a year ago when the price was $3.96. Rochester beats the statewide average by 3 cents a gallon, and the American Automobile Association says the year-over-year discount is the biggest since October. Next podcast is whenever you click on one of our pages and catch one. We post updates as necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.